So some of you guys may be cautiously doing the homework right now. It is very tough, but let's see how we can go about solving this. So if you guys realize at this point, let's label our point real quick. Let's say we have a point right here in the very middle, and let's call that point A. And what forces pull on point A? Well, you should hopefully see that there's a tension here. This is a rope, but you could just say basically those tensions cancel out. And what's going to pull this down is in fact the force of gravity pulls this way. Now, the problem, it does talk about the tension there, and the tension in that problem is going to be your force of gravity. Remember guys, force of gravity equals mg, but in this case, luckily for you guys, I did not even include that. I just said it was 5 newtons. Now for your problem, I think in the homework you'll have to actually use this formula. Okay, let's take a look at the other ones though. What else is happening here? Well, I need to come over here to my vectors. You are going to have two fun vectors, a tension this way and a tension that way. Now these tensions, they should be something like this, but I'm going to exclude them. I'm going to keep them right here just so I can see them a little better. But if you're going to draw the free body diagram, all your vectors should meet at one point. Not a big deal though. So this is tension, we'll call this tension 2. We'll call this tension 1. So you may be saying, well, how do I do all this? Well, remember, guys, these are vectors, and vectors, you guys have added them up. And let's remember that this object, let's assume that this is stationary. You have a block. I'm sorry. These are ropes right here. This is a rope. So I know it's not drawn very well. I thought I was going to label things. Kind of a hurry tonight. So these are ropes. These are ropes, and we have a surface like a ceiling or something right here. Okay, so this is our ceiling. These are two ropes coming off it, and it's supporting a weight. And what I chose is a point right here, point A, and I said that, well, what acts at point A? Well, you have a tension up this way, a tension this way, and a force of gravity this way. Well, one thing to know, guys, is if this is basically a static system, your F net on a static system is 0. And that means that when you take all your forces, F net is the sum of all your forces. Oh, let me get my eraser out. So basically, when you sum up all your forces, they are going to equal 0 newtons. But I want to be even more specific, guys. This is the key to solving this one. It's saying this, that, and I love dividing a piece of paper in two. Oh, well. Whoa. That it says this, that all your x's and all your y's, if you take the f and your x net in the x direction, which is the summation, oh, this is stupid, Mr. Shaw, your f net in the x direction, which is the sum of all your forces in the x direction, it should also equal 0. And if you take your f net y, which is all the sum of all your forces in the y direction, it should also equal 0. And now there's newtons on these, but 0, anything is 0. So let's take a look at some important things. So we're going to have to find the x and y components of everything. So let's be extremely lame about it. Now I'm not going to erase those, but I am going to put an x-axis here. And I am going to start doing my angles. Let's use red. So let's look at this angle right here. Well, if you notice, guys, the ceiling and my x-axis is parallel. These are opposite interior angles. So this theta right here is in fact 68 degrees. So let's call that theta 2. Okay? And let's go around to this angle. Move my x-axis. Oh, well, here's opposite interior angles here. This is 32, but our angle is not 32. It's going to be almost 180, but it stopped 32 degrees before 180. See, once again, guys, if I start here and I go all the way around to 180, but it didn't make it there. It stopped how many degrees before? 32. So this should be 148 degrees equals theta 1. Okay? And if I really, really want to be silly, I'm going to do this. And hopefully you guys realize that this is a silly endeavor, but I can go all the way around, and you should see that this one is actually at 270 degrees. So let's say theta FG equals 270 degrees. Okay, so I've got those now. I've got my theta 1, which is the angle T1 is at. I've got my theta 2, which is the angle T2 is at. And I've got my theta FG, which is the angle FG is at, and it's at 270 degrees. So now what I have to realize is this. F net x, the sum of all my forces in the x direction, equals 0. So what that means is this, and this is going to be really, really drawn out, but it means that F starting from scratch, F G x plus T 1x plus T 2x equals 0. Alright, that seems pretty simple. Let's do it for the y's. F G y plus T 1y plus T 2y equals 0. And once again, I felt like putting newtons on this time. You can do whatever you want. Well, now we're going to have to figure out what these terms mean. And when I say you guys are going to cry, you're going to cry. So remember, guys, F G x equals F G cos theta F G. And then T 1x equals T1 cos theta 1, and then T2x equals T2 cos theta 2, and then FGY equals FG sine theta FG, and then T1y equals T1 sine theta 1, and then T2y equals T2 sine theta 2. And now what you're going to do, guys, is you're going to plug in all of your angles. So plug in all of your angles, and then you're going to plug these, whatever you get, into here. I'll do part of 1. So basically, I'm going to add these three together. I'm going to say FG cosine theta FG. And what I'm doing, to clarify, is I'm taking this right here, this equation, and I'm substituting what you see on the left side here. I'm now, instead of what's on the left side of the equation, see this is on the left side, I'm now going to replace what's on the right. And I'm going to do the same thing here. This is the left side. This right here is the left side of this equation. I'm going to replace it with the right. Plus T1 cos theta 1 plus T2 cos theta 2 equals 0. I'm going to do the same for that one. And then I'm going to plug this in I'm going to plug in my actual values, the values I have here, the 270, the 68, and the 148, and I'm going to plug those values in here. And what we should see, hopefully, is a trend. And then it's going to be algebra from there on out. Good luck.